Welcome everyone to the May 15th Seattle Flow Arts Collective board meeting. I'm so glad you're all here. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today, so if I'm too fast in my speaking, please let me know. It will probably happen. So I would like to call this meeting to order. And so our first order of business here is roll call. So I am going to go through and see who is here. I am here. I'm BJ. Arlene is here. Kat is here. Desert is here. Tuck is here. Z is here. And Zach is absent today. I'll be filling in for him. And we have a large number of community members here, which is great. I see Zoe, Vesper, Cassandra, Luis, Jared, Celine, and Russell. And here comes Spitz as well. Sweet. I'm glad to see y'all here. It's really important to me that you're here and involved in what's going on because there's a lot going on and we need everyone's help. So I assume by now you found the agenda if you want to look at it. And our first thing is we need to look at it and see if there's anything else to add. Does anyone want to add something to the agenda? Board members only. Public can add stuff at the end. We have a period at the end for public comments or questions. You're also welcome to comment in the chat anytime. All right, any additions, subtractions? I don't see any. Can we have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion.
Second. Second, if that didn't come out.
All right, all in favor of approving motion to approve the agenda, say aye.
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 Aye. All against, say nay. All right, the motion carries. We have an agenda. We have stuff to do. Let's get started. Basic agenda here. I'm going to have a blurb at the beginning. We are going to go through and do our committee updates. And at the end, we're going to go over the budget, which contains all the updates. So I'm going to explain as we go along, but at the end, we're going to go look at the actual numbers and prove it separately. So without further ado, update from the chair. That's me. Woohoo! It's been a crazy few months. As you know, some things are starting to open back up, and Seattle Flow Arts Collective is planning to go back in person and do some things in person outdoors. And that's super exciting. I've been waiting over a year for this org to be hosting something outdoors. And just yesterday, I got our permit so we can go do such a thing in Volunteer Park. So it's getting more real. That's great. There's still a ton of work to do and things to figure out and COVID protocols and yada, 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 yada. So this is exciting, but there's still a lot of stuff to do before we can, celebrate. And so we'll be covering many of these things in this meeting. So far in 2021, we have added our first paid staff. We ran a second fundraising campaign. We're starting 2 new programs. We applied for several grants already. So yeah, momentum. This is great. Let's keep going. Okay, so I'm gonna hand off to Arlene and she can say her blurb and then we'll go into the business.
Thanks, BJ. I don't really have too much to add. I think we're going to cover a lot of sort of what we're up to and getting into as we go throughout the meeting today. I do just want to reflect, though, that it's been really heartening to see the support that we've had from the community, like through the fundraisers, but also just through other, this is a very large group of people to come to a board meeting, which isn't like the most exciting thing that we all do, even though I actually do think this stuff is awesome and that more people would benefit from knowing more about it. So that's really wonderful. I'm really looking forward to getting back out there, getting some of this stuff in person again, and hooking up with more volunteers. I think that's going to be the bee's knees when we're getting out there again, and there's more art that we can start getting our grubby little mitts on, so we can make the world a better place. So yeah, I don't really have that, like I said, not really much to add, just really grateful for you all being here and for the support that you all lend to this. And I'm every day, like every day, am so proud of what we're doing in this community and like really, really excited about what we're going to see happen in the months and years to come. So thanks for what you all have contributed so far, and thanks in advance for every way you're going to contribute in the future. I'm already excited about how much fun we're like going to have. So keep it up. Stay with us, stay fresh. And as always, like, please let us know if there's stuff you don't like, if there's stuff you do like. We really want this to be something that is that everyone feels like they can have a piece in. So make your voice heard. That's what I got.
Sweet. The next thing of administrivia is we need to approve the meeting minutes from our last board meeting, just way back in March. It seems like way longer than that. I believe board members have had a link to that for a while. It's also on the blog. So at this point, I would like a motion to adopt those minutes.
So moved.
Can I get a second? Eileen, you can't second.
I'll second.
Okay. Kat has second. All in favor of the motion to adopt the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. All right, the motion carries, and we have adopted those minutes. Onward. Great. So we're doing committee updates. So typically how this works is the committee chair will have a bunch of things to share, and maybe motion or not. Our first one, because it's sort of all encompassing, is the finance committee. Zach is not here, as I said, so you'll have to deal with me. I'm going to screen share because there's a lot of information in here. And a lot of this will be made available on the blog post afterwards. But here we go. I'm going to share my screen here. And hide that thing. That thing. All right. Bigger. All right, sweet. So treasurer's report. We are midway through second quarter. And what that means is we've had a quarter and a half of stuff happen. So what we're doing here is figuring out what happened, is that good or bad? The overall summary is we are in great shape financially to go ahead into the scary world and start doing new programming. We also have enough assets to continue paying for our executive director, which is great. Well, this wouldn't happen unless we had some paid staff. So far, our fundraising has been phenomenal. We've raised almost $3,000 in the Give Big campaign in the past week or two. Wow, that's way more than I thought were going to happen because it's pretty close to the beginning of the year. So that's great. We are planning to launch 2 new programs in the summer, at least 2. The first one is called Flow Arts in the Park, and we'll be talking more about that later. There is a budget associated with that, as well as some potential grants and other revenues. And we'll get into that budget later. But so high level, that is about $6,500. There's a lot of permitting, insurance, as well as just paying instructors and performers. So I don't feel too bad about spending money on that. We're also launching some fire jams. And as you all know, a fire depot is not free. There's lots of equipment, permits, and whatnot. So we are looking to budget some money for that. We've also applied for some grants to help fund these things. So we've applied for 2 grants so far. Those are about $5,000, maybe a little less. And we're expecting to hear back on that next few weeks. As far as financial position, I'm just going to go through all these docs all together. So over here, this basically says how our accounts are looking. Right now, it's looking pretty good. We have about 13K in the bank, and that is enough to pay for our executive director for the remainder of the year. So that's great. We're not trying to fundraise to pay our staff for the current year. That's great. We don't have any other assets besides bank accounts at this point. So this sheet is really quite boring. We do have some payroll liabilities now, which is great. That means we're paying payroll. But in general, that's not super important to our financial position right now. The much more interesting statement is the activity that's actually going on. And so the way this is organized right now is by quarter. So the first column here is Q1, and the second is quarter two up to now. And overall, we have about 10K of revenue so far this year. Our expenditures have been about almost 7K, which is great. We're plus 3K. Where is this money coming from and going? A majority of the money is from direct contributions. That's our fundraising campaign, any sort of corporate matches, anything like that. We also got about $1,200 in door revenue from FlowShop, which is like, oh wow, that's pretty great. And we have 12 cents of interest, compound interest. That's great. So we're expecting to get more contributions. This does not account for any gift bag revenue. It's not yet been received by us, so it's not in our books. But we're expecting to see similar revenue for the rest of the year. And later I'll go over the actual budget and see where we sit in that. In terms of expenditures, we are paying a steady $1,000 a month or so for our part-time position, associated taxes and whatnot. The other major things we're spending money on are instructors. That's great. And cloud software like QuickBooks, like not my favorite thing. We've also been spending some money on buying props. We want to run events for people who don't have props already, so we need to buy props. So there's a bit of money going towards that, which we'll get into in a bit. We've also had to start allocating money for our sales tax, because we're selling things. There's a number of fees and insurance and stuff, and not super relevant at the moment. We'll go into that later. But overall, we're doing great. We're making a nonprofit of 3K so far this year. And I expect this to not be significant. We're going to spend at least that much just getting the programs running. So that's great. We're still in a great position. Yahoo. So back to this report here. If we try and forecast what's going to happen, we're expecting more money to come in from campaign disbursements. We're expecting a few more corporate matches to come in through the end of the year. And we're also looking for more money from door revenues. When people are in person, it's easier to pay. We have Venmo and Square and all those things. So we're expecting that to pick up as we have more events outdoors. As I mentioned before, we've already spent like $1,000 on props. That's a lot of poi. I don't know if you've seen 50 poi before, but like it doesn't fit like this. It's like a basket sort of thing. So that's super exciting. We're expecting to buy more such things. We don't have any hoops yet. And you know, when we're setting up these programs, there's a number of one-time costs like permits and marketing, which we're expecting to spend on this year, as well as performers and instructors. Right, so what is this? This is the year-to-date budget stuff. So in our budget, we have this column called year-to-date in percent. So we can see, are we spending more or less than we expected to? And instead of going through this whole table, I'm just going to read from the report. We are almost halfway through the year on contributions already, which is great. That means we're ahead. We're not behind on fundraising. Being behind would be no good. So we're ahead. That's great. We are at or slightly behind on program revenue, and how much money comes in through FlowShop really just depends on how successful it is and is it in person or not. So that we don't really know what's going to happen there, but there's quite a bit of flexibility. We also have spent quite a bit on permits and props and stuff. So we're probably going to spend most of the money on props and stuff in the beginning half of the year for that reason. And later, I'll be talking about all the different budget revisions, but it pretty much boils down to we're doing new programs, so we need to allocate funds. And that is about it for the treasurer's report. There's a few other adjustments, which I'm not going to go into right now. And that is the treasurer's report. I would like to take questions, comments.
Am I
Um,
permitted to ask
oh.
a question? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to know if you guys were looking into in-kind prop donations.
Yes. That would be great.
Okay, who should I send info to for company contacts who would be willing to donate props?
Arlene.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you.
But yeah, that would be amazing.
That would be awesome.
Yep, on it.
Sweet. Any other questions about the treasurer's report?
I did have a question. As far as things that we're selling, I know about the pins. Is there anything else that we're selling right now?
Right now,
Sticks.
sticks.
We got stickers.
Oh,
yes.
stickers. Okay.
Yeah. And I want to
Stickers
buy
and
more
pins.
stickers. I have an idea.
All right.
Yeah. Swag is coming up in the agenda too.
A swag will happen. It will be great. Yeah. I mean, also the fact that we are providing a service and collecting revenue means it's retail, so we pay sales tax on that, which is really annoying, but that's part of being official, is collecting sales tax. So there's some of that in there too. Anything else? Okay. I would like to move on. Okay, I went through all that. Okay, so next committee is program committee, and that is not me. That's Arlene. Arlene, let's hear about the program. That's like the most exciting committee, right? Like just programs.
It's a pretty good committee. It's a pretty big committee. We have a lot of volunteers on this one, which is great. And yeah, there's, I think like 4 events that are kind of going on that we're either doing or planning on doing. The fire jam is kind of more under the fire committee. So Desert will be the one that talks about that. It's kind of like a joint committee venture, I suppose. But a little update about Flow Shop. As BJ said, yeah, our revenue is lower. I've noticed there has been sort of a dip in attendance over the last like month or two as it started to get nicer outside and people are also starting to get vaccinated. I think there's just sort of less demand for a virtual event like we're doing every week. So our last virtual, and that's not why, but our last virtual event is on Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday. And then we're going to be moving back in person. Very exciting. We're going to be having masked events in the park for Flow Shop and for Spin Jam. Yeah, and Flow Shop, we generally don't do as many instructors and workshops in the summer. That's just sort of been like the tradition of Flow Shop, is to be a bit more lax in the summer, but we will probably still do some. And to kind of make up for that, I'm going to be starting to host some like pop-up workshops on like weekends or other days of the week at a different time, so that we can still be incorporating some of the rad things of pandemic, which include having people like Casey Allen all the way in Florida, or like Ray all the way from the Bay Area being able to teach classes at Flow Shop. I really, really have loved that. So we're going to keep doing that and hopefully have those at times that are a little more temporally accessible. 7 o'clock Pacific time is very late for the East Coast. So I'm excited about that expansion. And we are, even though our revenue is low, we are still covering all of our costs for the program with Flow Shop. But our goal as an organization is for Flow Shop's revenue to also help contribute to like the broader programs that we're operating. So we're like doing well for our own selves and would like to increase that, but like BJ said, I think that will come in time as we get back to in-person stuff like that. As always, if there's stuff you want to see at FlowShop, at me. If you want to be the person at FlowShop, at me. We also have the application form is up on our website under the Get Involved section. You can find it there. Spin Jam is also going, like we mentioned, going to be resuming in-person events. Their first in-person will be on the 29th. Which is 2 weeks from today. Spin Jam is happening this afternoon, so we'll be done with plenty of time for you to get snacks and fed and do what you need to and get off to that for anyone looking to do that kind of thing. And they are currently planning on keeping that as an event that happens every other Saturday for the time being. And so maybe that will change in the future as we get into the summer. If that's something that you would like to see change and you want to be that change, then let us know and we can talk about having other people that are helping to host those events. And right now, currently the plan is for both of those to be held at Volunteer Park. I would like for us to also be branching out though across the city. So we're kind of trying to figure out how do we navigate having this be consistent so people know when it is, and also finding ways to share our art form with the broader Seattle community. And hosting things like Spin Jam in the park in random places is a pretty easy way to get the word out about what we're up to. We are very visible, thankfully. So that's what's happening with those two events. As far as prop inventory stuff goes, that's our next item here. That's been very fun. Hang on one second. It's been very fun. I have like 36 pairs of juggling balls and 50 pair of these like delightful, adorable, like every single one of these poi is different and they are all so cute. This is dogs. It's very exciting. We have had some pretty good connections for resources on these props so far. These are like $19 a set for reference without any weight in them. So that's what your donations went to. And we're going to be reaching out to Livy to get more hoops and stuff. So we're pretty okay with poi and juggling balls. I also have like 500 juggling balls over there. And we're working on hoops. So is our next one. It's very exciting. And we will be, some of those kind of depending on the program, these props will sometimes be like given away to program participants. They will sometimes be able to be sold at cost or slightly above at these events that we're hosting, and other times we won't give them to people or sell them. So it'll kind of depend on what our inventory is, what the intention of the event is, and just sort of different factors, but we're very excited to have stuff. Am I giving a Flow Arts in the Park update, or is that you, BJ?
I'll do that.
That's you. Okay, cool. Then I think, yeah, that's the stuff that I have right now for those first 3 agenda items for program.
Anyone have questions, comments about FlowShop, Spin Jam, and props before we change gears?
I have a question.
Yes.
If the possibility for online FlowShop style gatherings is going to continue, but also if the time frame is going to shift, when can peons like me and the general public learn about that?
What do you mean by learn about that? Do you mean, what do you mean?
Like what specific time or day of the week?
To be honest, my answer is probably question mark. Like what flexible. flexible. Yeah, I don't think there's like at this point a specific time that I want to set that for, which is great. Like this is something that like I want Flow Shop to be like Tuesday Flow Shop happens on Tuesday and that's when Flow Shop is. And these pop-up workshops, whenever it works best for the people involved.
Could I add something? Following the Seattle Flow Arts Collective Facebook page, there are announcements, and so you would be able to see when things get posted. You know, events will be on that page.
Okay, that helps. I was curious about, I wanted to maybe get involved. If a virtual pop-up workshop at a different time than Tuesday nights at 7 o'clock is a possibility, I would like to get involved. So, you know, I want to see that. Thank you.
Okay, cool. I will write that down somewhere.
We also have an online calendar, which is being improved continuously. And everything is also posted to there. All right, I would like to move on. What's this new program? It's called Flow Arts in the Park. And as it sounds like, we're doing Flow Arts in the Park, right? But what else? So this is a new event in a new format. And the idea is we want to share what we're doing with the general public. And we want to invite people to come play with our toys and make shapes with us. And the way we're planning to do that is to have multiple strategies. So one is we're going to have props available for people to borrow and or take home. And we're going to have instructors to teach intro to juggling, hoops, and poi. And for each event, we're also going to have a performer or performers to come and show us what you can be like if you practice really hard and inspire people. And this is going to be great. Currently, the plan is to run 7 of these events this summer. The first one will be in Volunteer Park on June 27th, you know, if permits come through and all that. And the other 6 are going to be twice a month through September. And where and when. So this is a weekend event intended to be family friendly. So mainly Saturday or Sunday afternoon. And you know, we need to look at other schedules as well. But the idea is like, we want this to be accessible to anyone to come play and have fun. And it's going to be great. As far as where is this going to be and what is the focus, people have been stuck in their abodes for over a year now. We want people to get out and like have fun and meet other people and smile and stuff. And traditionally, we have been a very Capitol Hill centered group of instructors and performers, and we want to expand to other parts of Seattle. So for this event, we have a focus on hosting events in South Seattle, in Central Seattle, and other places that have not really been served in the past. Volunteer Park doesn't really count. That's our sort of first dry run event. And after that, we're looking to go to places like Judkins or Pratt Park or Seward Park, Jefferson. There's just many, many nice big parks down there we want to use. And some of those might be co-located with other events or not, depending on what's going to be possible. And hopefully we're going to be in touch with the parks people soon to figure all that out. I'm sure they want people to come out and exercise too. And we'll be talking about that. So where is this thing and how's it going? So right now we have a budget and we have event leads. And other than that, it's still quite up in the air. We're working on marketing, permits, insurance, bookings, the whole usual set of things. So at this point, we are looking for people who want to be on the production team. And we're also starting to look for people who are interested in day of volunteering. Each one of these events is going to need like 4 volunteers or something. And that's sitting at the table, teaching people how to spin in the right direction, just general help. And so we have a call for volunteers on the website, but we're also going to be reposting that over and over and over to try and fill these events. There's 7 events times 4 people. That's like 30 volunteers almost. So we're really excited / scared to open this up for help from the community to make this big. And also this event is like for people already who do flow arts to come and, you know, meet their friends as well. However, the location and programming is more intended for general public, because the focus of this is to share our art form outwards. So that's sort of where things are right now. I could go on and on about all those points, but I won't. If you have questions, let me know. Cassandra.
I am exploding with happiness. I've been wanting to talk to you guys about Northwest Flow Fest in the future, but now isn't specifically the time for that. But I would like to support this effort, this specific effort, and this specific program. And I may be able to help. So,
Yay.
Yeah. This is really cool. I'm really glad you guys are doing this. I guess that's kind of all. I mean, it's not really a question. Do you want my help?
Appreciate your enthusiasm. Yes, we would love
Yes.
your help. You probably run the most big flow events of anyone here. So aside from PFG, like, yeah. And yes, Volunteer Park, we are planning to go there for one event, but probably not in the amphitheater area because it's all dug up. And
yeah, because they're installing the new amphitheater, right? They're in the construction mode for
but
that.
they're across the street or other areas we could set up. So
That's
that
fantastic.
is to be figured out.
This is super dope. Yeah, wow.
More details to follow. We haven't really like made the big blog post with all things, but it's coming up because we're getting to the point where we know enough about what's going to happen.
I do want to say that, I mean, you could probably pull this off with a core group of like 12 volunteers.
That may very well happen just naturally, but
yeah. And maybe more later. Who is are you the primary point person on this particular project, Flow Arts in the Park?
I'm the contact person for admin stuff like permits and stuff. Vesper and Marissa are sort of the co-producer event leads, and we're planning to rotate who is like the lead and who's the assistant and that sort of thing as we go, just so we all learn how to do the thing. But yeah, you can start with me and I can redirect you as needed. Looking forward to your emails.
I'll email you, yes.
All right. So I did want to go over the budget on this real quick before we disappear on to other topics. So let me see if I can pull that up quickly here. Right. Proving budget. Okie doke. Here we are. Cool. Okay, sweet. And so here is the basic budget. You can see we're spending about $2,000 on props. And right now this is treated as a program expense. We don't quite know if we're going to give these away to some people or sell them or what. So we're not expecting to have them after the program is done, but they might be there. Permit expenses are sort of up in the air. We don't really know until we submit how much money they want. But you know, in general, it is $150 to $200 per each of these events. We're operating for 3 to 4 hours in big parks with fees. So that's something. We have a pretty healthy instructor and performer budget per event. This is not like a big set up a stage and tear it down sort of event. It's more like a chill out in the park and have a showcase in the middle. So the overall costs for the production are quite low. It's mainly paying people to do the thing. We also have a variety of things for marketing, insurance, more staff hours. And as for revenue, we're hoping to get a grant to fund most of this. Seattle Parks has put out a call. It's called Welcome Back Seattle. Basically, they want to pay people to bring people into the parks, and that's exactly what we're doing. So I'm feeling pretty optimistic about that. And so if we get a grant like that, this program is going to be basically all paid off and great. If not, we might need to do some more fundraising, but we do have enough assets to just do this and find funding as we go along. So yeah, that is the basic budget. If you are a budget wonk and want to learn more about this stuff, well, please drop me a line. I would love to talk your head off. But we're done with that for now. So I would like to move on. If we have more questions about this program, let's take that to later so we can get through this meeting. We have a few other programs which are not quite baked, but we're thinking about. And so one of those, which I'll talk about, is the corporate program, or I call corporate POI. And the idea here is that lots of big companies have team building events where you make pottery together or go curling or whatever it is. And we want to do something healthy like the flow arts as one of those options. So I have spent a bit of time researching what a program like this would look like. We have sort of a rough budget and competitive analysis for that. Right now, we don't really have the bandwidth to do that, so it's sort of on ice until later. But this is something that we could pick up if we had enough people to teach and run it. And I think that's great because I've been to many of these team building events, and generally they're kind of boring, and you don't do a lot of physical activity. So I'm excited to bring that sort of thing into the area. There's a lot of companies around here who have under-circused employees, let's put it that way. The other program we've been looking at is a youth program, and Zoe is here. Zoe, would you be willing to talk about this for a minute?
Sure, I'd be happy to. So yeah, this is a program that currently is not fully on the back burner, but we're kind of focusing most of the efforts on flow arts in the park currently. But the youth program has been a scope that we're hoping to utilize in an aspect for after school programming and reaching kind of either doing virtual or in person. That's kind of now not decided fully with things changing, but it was originally geared in a scope for being online virtual classes where we would develop kits and deliver those to either hubs or get them delivered in some manner that would have a variety of a starter flow pack, poi, and juggling balls, and then would also do like a aspect of teaching theatric classes. A group of us did extensive research on a variety of different organizations around the Seattle area and kind of process what their scope was and what their model for who they were trying to reach and help. And we kind of discovered a couple main things. One of the big ones is Schools Out Washington and the After School Alliance. They're kind of the overarching authority for a lot of approval for after school programs and such. And so that's kind of one of our bigger long-term scopes for looking at what we want to do to try and collaborate with their organization. In a short-term scope, we, I believe, had settled on looking at the Seattle Housing Authority and New Holly Housing, as well as kind of working with libraries potentially to just get a starting program. With that note, though, it's kind of still very up in the air since we wanted to focus on flow arts in the park because of the grant opportunities. So this is still kind of a working progress. But essentially, we're looking at doing I think it was a 6-week program where we would do hour-long classes. And also, again, flexible, not really set in stone, but that was kind of our scope that we were looking at. And hopefully we can do it in person because that would make things really great. And the program's geared towards looking at around 13-year-olds, 10 to 13-year-olds. And yeah, I know Luis has been helping out a lot with that as well. I'm not sure if Luis wanted to add anything, but that is the short of a lot of that. Yeah, are there questions regarding that? I know that was kind of a quick ramble.
Thank you, Zoe. So we have that program budget and officially we need to vote on it. So would y'all like to do that now or later? Because we're going to vote on the actual big budget too.
I think now would be good.
Okay. So what is it we're voting on? So in the board packet, there is that PDF, which has the larger budget, and the program budget is here in the drive, which is not ideal, but here it is. And so the current budget is for 7 events. We are looking for grant funding for 6 of those that start in like the last week of June. The first one we are planning to fully self-fund because it is sort of a warm-up in some ways. But it is accounted for in the budget. So we have a budget for 7, we're asking funding for 6, and that's where stuff is right now. So without further ado, I think we need a motion on this budget or any discussion.
I move to approve the proposed budget for the Flow Arts in the Park program.
Seconded.
Any discussion on the motion? All in favor of the motion to approve the budget, say aye.
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 Aye. Did we get everyone? Let's see. All against, say nay. All right, hearing none, the motion carries. And the program budget is approved. Now we're in business. It's great. All right, enough program. Let's take a break from program and talk about something else. So next is development. So Kat, I would love to hear about this amazing fundraiser we've done.
Yeah, thanks, BJ. So we did our spring fundraiser as part of Give Big, which is a statewide effort in Washington State. A lot of nonprofits participate, and our goal was $1,000, and we raised $1,300 approximately, and we had $1,000 match from the board. So all of that resulted in a very successful campaign. We also have had some community members do birthday fundraisers on Facebook. Thank you so much to everyone that also did that and donated as part of those. So that's been another source of revenue for this spring campaign, which is amazing. And I also want to thank Livy Joy Hoops for sponsoring and their continued support of CFAC. And then BJ mentioned that we have applied for 2 grants. We're still doing additional grant research to identify new grants to apply for. We have a couple we're looking at right now. One's from Arts Fund, and also Network for Good has some grant opportunities. But if you hear of any additional opportunities, please let us know. And then for the rest of 2021, we'll definitely do an end of year fundraising campaign. So there's sort of 2 times a year, the Give Big in May and the end of the year campaign, where we'll be doing a lot of outreach. And thank you again to everyone that donated and also shared on social media and all of that. It's been really awesome to have the outpouring of support from all of you and the community. Yeah, I think that's what I've got. Thank you.
Sweet. So to clarify, so far we've submitted 2 applications and we're looking at many more. We don't quite know what the hit rate is going to be on these because it's the first time, right? It can only get better from here. That said, we spent a lot of effort on coming up with this program proposal. Flow Arts in the Park was born out of writing these proposals about why you should give us money to do flow arts. And as part of that, like, it's pretty tailored to the Parks grant in particular. So I'm excited, and that might not come through, and that's fine. And you know, we're just going to keep submitting until it works. And if you are interested in learning how to grant write, or you already know and want to help, that would be super helpful. The limiting thing on applying for grants is bandwidth. I can't apply for any more grants myself. Kat is also quite busy. So this is a great way if someone wants to get better at writing and also raise money for the flow arts and turn it into props. It's a nice opportunity. Also, like that, I would put that on your resume if it works. We'll see. All right. So, any other questions on development committee before we carry on? I don't see any. All right. On to governance committee. I'm the chair of that one. Okay, what am I going to say? So, a lot of what we're doing right now is sort of getting all the ducks in a row so we can run these programs in person. And that mainly comes down to insurance, liability, permitting, health and safety stuff. I won't go into all the boring details on that, but we are planning to hold events outdoors in the park. So we are sort of subject to Seattle Parks rules about whatever. And the most significant one right now is that Seattle Parks requires everyone to follow their COVID guidelines, which are very sensible: social distancing, wear a mask, sanitize stuff after changing people. So we need an actual policy, and that is sort of in progress right now. SeattleFlowArts.org/COVID safety. No, I don't remember what I linked it to. Anyway, I will just screen share it here. So we've been working on this draft policy here. And it's pretty straightforward. A lot of this is straight out of the park's guide of what it is you have to do to run an event in the park. There are a few flow specific things, like what do we do when we change props? How do we deal with onlookers? So this process or policy is still being developed. It needs to be done in the next 2 weeks because we are going to actually run events in the park. So if you have written this sort of thing before, I would love your feedback on that. Feel free to drop me a line, an email, a chat, and we'll hope to get that out soon. The other thing is permitting. So there's several kinds of permits we're looking at. The first is to be able to operate in the park as a fitness org. And so I've already applied and gotten that. It's $75 a month per park, which is annoying, but it's much cheaper than a studio rental. So, and that covers up to 10 hours per week of any programming whatsoever in the park. So we could have a flow shop 3 times a week and still be okay on that. So that's pretty much wrapped up. The other kind of permits we're looking at are the special activity use permits. So things like Flow Fest or Fire Jam or a pop-up with music and stuff like that. That's the bigger permit we need to get. So we're in the process of applying for that. And there's more work, bigger sitemap, etc. And all that's going to be done pretty soon now as part of Flow Arts in the Park, and also as part of the Fire Jam planning. So nothing too scary there. We have a solid lead on fire insurance, which Desert will talk about later. And we have sufficient insurance to do other events in the park already. So this is mainly a filling out paperwork and dealing with the permit office sort of activity. Which is great, it's progress. This is the first permit related to Flow Arts that we've ever held in the park. So more legit. What else? So I said we're turning in-person programming. As part of that, we have this safety guidelines. And I expect these will change over time as well, because people are changing how they use masks and so forth. But we plan to have this policy for all events, whether it's Spin Jam, Flow Shop, Flow Arts in the Park. We should have the same safety guidelines for all those. So this policy is intended to be for all the things. Lastly, in governance, I wanted to ask Arlene if there's any update on the CARE program.
Yeah, so CARE is Community Accountability, Reintegration, and Education. So before I get into that, actually, just as a preface, so we like consent in Seattle Flow Arts Collective. It's one of our jams. I'm worried that we're about to get Zoom bombed. I'm gonna not let these people in the room, for the record. Okay. Okay, so consent is something that we want to make sure we are fostering in our community. When we live in an environment that prioritizes consent, it means that people are allowed and able to express themselves and to express their own autonomy. And it means that we are reducing harm within the community, which is something that is important to us as a group. That being said, harm happens. It just will be a thing that there are going to be issues that come up between people for all kinds of reasons. And we want to be prepared for when that happens. So what we have been working on behind the scenes is we're working with Rachel Drake, who is Drew Bowen's mom. So she's a famous lady in our community already. But she is also a consent wizard and has worked for a long time with Seattle Consent Academy, and has, I think, some really especially progressive and cutting edge. Hang on. Okay.
Got him. Bye.
Yeah, that was definitely a troll. I love it when we get Zoom bombers. It makes me really like we've made it, like we're on the map. So these past 12 weeks, Rachel has been leading a group of about 10 people in a class, sort of an intensive crash course for several classes that she normally teaches, including her Consent 101, Consent for Leaders, and Transformational Accountability. Transformational accountability is a process that she developed that helps to address harm within community, that takes a kind of a 360 approach to addressing harm. So it's supporting the person or persons who are impacted by the harm, people who have been implicated in the harm, and bystanders, and just sort of the community in general. You know, if there's something serious that happens, like if, you know, there's whatever, someone like kills somebody's goldfish or something, and that has like a big impact on the community, transformational accountability is also designed to support the community in that healing and growth as well. And really the intention is, and where the belief is, that no human is disposable. The core values of this philosophy are care, compassion, and curiosity. And it's coming into things with a trauma-informed approach and understanding that we are all just broken children who are doing the best we can. That said, we also want to make sure that we are protecting our boundaries and keeping our community safe, right? So it's kind of striking that balance of not punishing people, but also making sure that we are holding people accountable and maintaining boundaries where we need to, but giving people the opportunity to learn and grow. Failure is a core value of ours for a reason. So we want to give people that opportunity. So that's kind of that's like a crash course on what this is. Transformational accountability, and the care team will be a team of people that is trained in this stuff so that they can support people who have a report to make and engage in an accountability process if and when that comes up. And the next, we've had 11 weeks of this 12-week course. Our last session is tomorrow. And after that, the next steps are to form a disappearing task force so that we can actually start developing and writing our policy for what we're going to do with this. So if that's something that you're interested in, let me know. I have talked already to some of the people who are on our board or in our volunteer community who are in that class that are interested in helping be involved in that work. I would be open to having people who didn't do the class involved in helping to write the policy. But we'll like talk about details for that. So if that's something that you're interested in, if you just want to be like a fly on the wall for writing that policy to try to like kind of get some of that stuff in your brain, let me know. And in the future, Rachel is planning on hosting semi-regular talks about consent and transformational accountability and some of the philosophy that she discusses in this class. And those will be something that I plan to share with our CFAC community. So there will be opportunities for all of us to learn this stuff directly from her, so that we can really bake this stuff into our culture and have people who like ask for consent before they touch each other and don't say racist things. And also when someone does do something mean, we don't just like publicly shame them, because I think that can actually end up doing a lot of long-term harm within community, which we don't want to do. That's what I got on that stuff. Are there any questions about that from people? Cool.
All right. Thanks, Eileen. So we have 2 more committees to go through. The next one is Fire Committee. I'm so excited. Desert, please fill us in.
All righty. Well, as BJ mentioned earlier, found out last week that the Seattle Fire Department is once again issuing 2511 fire permit, which is the permit that covers fire acts. So I engaged with the fire marshal, who recommended connecting with the health department and the parks team. So I'm in communication with the city, walking through the process they have to even get to the point where we can start the application for the actual fire permit. That permit, of course, pretty much everyone here knows the history with fire in Seattle. It's never been permitted for the kind of jam that we want to do. And this is hopefully not going to be painful. They seem open to it. Their initial responses were, yeah, we issue you a fire permit. We have to find a location, because that's going to be the first thing that they ask. So that's where the parks comes in. And of course, health department is because of COVID. So I am planning to pretty much submit the same COVID doc that BJ shared earlier, the health and safety doc, as just our organization's baseline, and hopefully just get a check mark so that the lieutenant will start interacting with me a little bit more. So it's happening. I'm shooting to be able to submit the permit by the end of this month. So I got 15 days. I've got 2 days that I'm taking, vacation, so I can just do what I need to do and make this happen this in the next couple of weeks. So stay tuned, check the CFAC page, check the calendar, sign up for the newsletter if you haven't already. All of these things is how you'll find out about when we have our first, community jam. What we're looking to do is to make the announcement and not necessarily make like a big public thing. This isn't a show, right? This is for the fire community that hasn't had a place to come together and do a communal jam in really a few years, right? That isn't like just, I'm going to the park, someone come and join me kind of deal. So, think of it as a reincarnation of what Spinner was. Okay. That's my update. Does anybody have any questions? All right, then I'll see you. Oh, there was a hand. BJ put a hand up.
So Desert, if I really want this to happen, how can I help that be a thing?
You should message
Not me
me.
personally. But...
You should send me an email, desert@seattleflowarts.org, or all general comments can go to the hello@seattleflowarts.org, and they will get routed to the correct people. There is a fire committee. For the first, year or so, we were meeting all the time. We have roadmaps. We found insurance. We lined everything up. And last week I realized we can start doing things. I was so anxious. I was like, oh, we have so much work. And then I went and read everything we did. And I'm like, wait, we did it all. I just need to kick this domino, and all the dominoes start to fall. So that's what's happening now. Always things that, we didn't know. We don't know what we don't know. And as we walk through this process, I had no idea we'd have to engage the health department. It makes obvious sense to me now, but it was never anything we had to do before. So yeah, when those things come up, we'll knock them down. And if you want to get involved, shoot me an email. We meet once a month right now. And as things start to happen, maybe we will increase that. So if you want some input on what the jam looks like, how it's run. I had a really, where's that? I wrote out this entire floor plan, essentially, because you have to give a grade when you apply, on how to do it that's COVID compliant, Seattle Fire Department fire code compliant, and we only need a 52 by 52 foot area. All right. So if you got someplace that's, roughly, what is that, 10 yards by 10 yards, let me know. Right. And keep in mind, we're looking at parks, private businesses that have a big parking lot. Like, I'm open to pretty much anything. If you saw a slab of cement somewhere and was like, hey, that doesn't look like anybody's using it, let me know about it. I will find out who owns it. I can do land searches, no problem. All right, thank you.
Just to echo Desert's point, like, running park events is great. If it's not a public facing event, it's kind of unnecessary and really expensive. So we'd be able to hold many more of these if we were able to find some privately owned land. But parks has its own merits too. So like you said, all options are open right now. And so our last committee is marketing. It's definitely not the least. It's the most extra right now. It's great. Arlene.
Marketing is super extra right now. Okay, cool. So social media, I'm just going to kind of pop through each of these. So a few big updates for social media are, we recently switched our Instagram account from being a Flow Shop account to being a Seattle Flow Arts Collective account. So give it a follow if you haven't already. I'm going to drop the handle in here. But that's exciting. And it has been it's steadily gaining followers all the time. I think we get probably about 10 new followers a week, and they stick around. So that's great. We recently created a Facebook Messenger thread to help increase engagement on Facebook, which has actually really, really helped. Just for a little perspective for anyone curious if that actually matters. If I make a post on the Seattle Flow Arts Collective page on Facebook, it usually gets about like 30, maybe up to 50 people that actually see the post. And with this engagement thing that we've been experimenting with, that increases the view to like 200 to 500 views instead. So it's like really makes a huge difference to have you all do that. So thank you. And that's like liking, commenting, sharing, anything that you all can do, like really does make a huge difference on Facebook. Because otherwise paying for all of the ads, that, it adds up. And we try to avoid paying for ads unless it's something that we are making money on, is the advice I received, which seems sound to me. We've been getting help. We have Natalie Kavork is an actual marketer who's been helping us. That's been great. Thank you, Natalie. And I want to reiterate what Kat said, those donation drives that Facebook sets up for you all. It really I can't believe how many people donate to them. And we do, so you know, we get 100% of that money. Facebook donations takes 0%. There is no transaction fee. So 100% of what you donated ends up going to the organization that you're donating to. That's the same thing for PayPal giving. So like if there are those things and you're like, well, I don't want to donate because blah, blah, you're wrong. They're actually like shockingly good, which is confusing for everyone that Facebook is doing good things, but this is one. Catch us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. Give us a subscribe. If we get up to 100 subscribers, I think that means that we can have like a personalized YouTube channel URL instead of like Q2X3 4 10 12 like Z./ or whatever the heck it is. So give that a like. That's also a good place to see our meetings here and also our flow shop recaps, other, yeah, whatever. There's all kinds of stuff. I will drop the link in the chat here if I can know how to get to our channel. I'm sorry, it's UCDYVJBKMGA8IWASUEEQ-GW. If you want us to be supported in having a less absurd URL, hit that sub button. Okay, what else is on this? I don't think that it does roll off the tongue. I don't think that the website update is mine. Do you want to take that one, BJ?
Yeah, so if you've been to our website, you know, sometimes it goes sideways or doesn't render. And a few weeks ago, several of us got in a meeting just to write up all the things we don't like about the website or need to be fixed. We have a nice long list of things now, but we have not so many people to work on them. So if you are interested in polishing your web dev skills, or if you know WordPress, or you're a designer or anything like that, there's plenty of things to be done, which will make the site more accessible, more useful as a place to share information, and so on. And without extra volunteers, it's probably going to take a really long time for all those things to get fixed. So I would love to engage anyone who wants to learn how to do that or help us out on some of the design things. In the short term, we are looking to add a few more pages to the site. Code of conduct is already there, but not linked very well. We need a more thorough sponsor section, more info about donating. There's a bunch of content things, and there's also a bunch of like fixing the text color sorts of things. So, you know, whatever skills that already have, there's probably something to do. So please get in touch and we'll go through that. But in general, like the website has been great so far as a place to put things that is not Facebook. We have all of our board meeting resources on there, recaps, time permitting. I like to do interviews and stuff for the blog. So it was really like how much effort we put in is how great it's going to be. So let me know if you want to help on that. Arlene, do you want to talk about physical marketing, or should I do that? I don't really know what I was going to say.
I don't know what you were going to say either, but I can talk about it a little. Yeah, we are getting into some physical marketing for Flow Arts in the Park in particular, because we want to, like we said, kind of reach a broader community than people who already know what we're up to. So that's going to be one of the ways that we do that. Thank you, Ariana, in advance. We have, oh, geez. Okay, hang on. Oh, I kind of don't want to show you all, but okay. But look at these. They're so beautiful. These are our lovely thank you cards that Ariana designed for us. She has, right? Yeah. Oh my God, they're like ridiculous. And she has been doing a bunch of other like boilerplate kind of things that can be used for like other social media stuff, and it's thrilling. They're so pretty. And I don't know if Schwag is marketing, but like stickers, pins, those are things that we're going to be having more of. I would really like to have patches, just those kinds of things that can, like, our logos are cool. I think the Flow Shop logo is like one of my favorite things I look at every day. And yeah, that's a good way for us to also like just increase our revenue by selling cool things that people want. Those are the things that I am thinking about for physical marketing, and kind of also like marketing in the rest of 2021 is just like expanding that stuff and continuing to grow social media. And our social media team, we are slowly but surely figuring out how to do this as a group because it's hard and weird. But we are like awkwardly moving our way through solutions on that. So if that's stuff you're interested in, let me know. I don't know if there's anything else that you want to say about physical marketing.
Yeah, so as you can see, we already have a light sign. Not the most applicable during the day, so we're gonna be looking at getting a banner as well. You know, as well as a pop-up and table that is sort of marketing 101. So we're gonna have a banner. Yay! Also looking at getting sandwich boards or other sorts of wayfinding signage. What else is in that category? Posters. This is an event. We need like an event poster, right? So that is in the works. I'm not going to spoil it, but wow, it's going to be great. I'm just remembering what it looks like and getting excited. The other thing is at Flow Arts in the Park, we're going to have a registration table. So aside from like the COVID self-attestation and all the other boring stuff, we're going to have like, here's how to learn flow arts and stuff like that. So not marketing about our events, but marketing about what is flow arts, because people are going to come in, have no idea what this thing is called or what to do next. So I'm very excited to put a little bit of time and energy into that, just as a way to get people engaged and to come back to our other events. If you hand someone a hoop and don't say what to do, like they will play with it, but probably not as long as if they knew what to do next. So definitely looking into doing that. Our first event is like over a month away, so there's still quite a bit of time to develop this. If you have any resources like this already, that would be like A+, save me a lot of time and awesome. So if you know those things, let me know. We're also planning to add some of that to the website as well, like not a bunch of hoop tutorials, but like here's the 10 best sites for hoop tutorials, or the ones we recommend for beginners, or something like that. So I consider that kind of marketing because it's not really something we're operating. And that's going to be sort of more at the forefront of my brain in the next month or so as we figure out what props we're teaching and that sort of thing. But there will be some like printing and logos and stuff like that. I'm not quite sure of the details yet, but that's definitely part of the plan for now. That's all I have about physical marketing. Any questions about marketing so far? No. Okay. Ariana, did you want to talk a little bit about our Discord plans?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about it. So community Discord is in progress. Turns out I am much better at running and moderating things than I am setting up things. So that's my bad. But yes, it's in the works. We are going to spend some time talking about rules and how it should run and the overall vision, but it does exist at this moment. It just doesn't have anyone in it yet. But yes, keep a lookout for that.
Yay! More places that are not Facebook to hang out. That's all my jam. Yeah, look out for the blog, the website, all the things. Will be something that out. I'm not quite sure. Is there going to be like a private part and then we open up to everyone, or how it's going to work? Well, we'll figure it out. But if you two are also a Discord expert, please get in touch, because the more people, the better it's going to go. And thanks for doing all that, because I have no idea how Discord works. Kind of out of touch. All right. I think we're done with our committee update. So the last thing here is to go through the budget and hopefully approve it. So without further ado, I'm gonna screen share, hopefully one last time. And we'll go through the budget. That is not the budget. Here's the budget. All right, can you all see that? I know it's kind of small, but make it bigger. So where are we on this and where are we going? So over here we have the what is the account. Over here we have quarters, how much has come in or out so far. On this budgeted 2021 column, this is the last approved budget, which was
I don't know if
approved in-
I don't know if I see what you're talking about. Like if it's
Did I share Safari instead of the whole screen?
maybe, yeah, I don't know.
Okay, that would make sense. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, ha, I will start my spiel over. So on the left, you have the what. Here we have the quarters. There is year to date, how much we've spent so far or received. And there's budgeted 2021. And this is what was approved at the last board meeting or in January, I don't remember. And so what you see here highlighted in purple are any changes from the already passed budget. And then I wrote some notes here to explain what that means. So some of these things are just sort of looking at our actuals for the past quarter and deciding, oh yeah, that was probably a bad estimate. Other things are related to programs. So I'll just run through these real quick and we can go over questions or amendments and then have a motion and be done, hopefully. So first thing here is revenue from direct contributions. So based on donor info, we're expecting another 5K corporate match this year compared to last year. So this has been increased upward to account for that. Previously, we expected to get some non-government and some government grants. And right now, it mainly just looks like government grants are what we are applying for. Foundations have not been super interested in what we're doing at this point, but we are expecting to get at least one thing this year at some point. So that has been readjusted a bit. Overall, we're looking at another 5K expected contributions for the year. So that adjustment up in revenue. As for other stuff, Flow Shop is a bit ahead. Wait, we're behind. My bad, I can't read. We're a little behind on revenue, as we discussed, and that's kind of expected at this point. So overall revenue, we're expecting a bit more. And as far as expenses go, this is where stuff changes a lot because we're planning to do different things. So at the top here, we have payroll expenses. The current program budget adds some more staff time to develop and run the thing. So this is actually doing stuff at the event, but also marketing and social media and posting and logistics and so on. So there's some more funds allocated to that. And that would hopefully be covered by the grant. If not, we do have enough surplus to deal with that. The next part here, similar to more payroll, is more contractor payments. So all our instructors and performers are contractors. So here we have added an extra $2,000 to pay to artists at these events. That is great. Pay the artists. And so, as it says, a part of the flat budgets, which we looked at earlier. Other things here, we spent a bit more on fundraising and cards than we expected, so just adjust that. Down here in other expenses, this is like capital and everything else. So as we discussed earlier, there's the $2,000 budget for props. I actually think we're not going to need all that, but we don't really know where all our stuff is coming from. So that's there for now. In the past year, we started paying for QuickBooks payroll, which allows us to pay our employees, but also requires more money because Intuit's great at taking money. So we've added that to the budget. There is an extra 800 from the program budget for marketing, Flow Arts in the Park, which we are abbreviating as FLAP, in case I didn't say that already. FLAP is the thing. In other expenses, I don't know what this is for. It might have been for props, it might have not, but I reduced it because I don't know what it's for. Oops. Down here in business expenses, we have sales tax, and this is mainly paying for last year's sales tax. But we do expect quite a bit more this year, so that has been adjusted by quite a lot. And this is based on our expected program revenue. 10% of that would be what we're paying for sales tax. So this number is derived based on how much revenue we're expecting up here at the top. And oh dear, additional $1,500 for permitting events. I think that's kind of scary and awful, but here we are. And we're expecting permits for Flow Arts in the Park to be $1,000, $1,500, depending on what exactly the parks makes us do. There's also some costs for the fire dam. So down here, there's a line item for fire dams. What this is basically saying, $2,000 is sort of what we're aiming for this event. We don't really have a budget set in stone yet, so this is sort of making room in the budget, but I do expect that we will have an actual fully accounted budget to approve at the next meeting. But for now, this lets us go ahead and purchase equipment, start working on permits and so forth, and actually have something allocated towards that. And so for all these things related to Flow Arts in the Park, they're already added into the appropriate expense accounts and whatever, but the fire dam is not. It's like a line item before. And once we have a more appropriate budget for that, it will be integrated back into the overall numbers. Because we don't have line items for everything yet. So that's the overall changes here. Some of this is described in the treasurer's report as well, if you want to read up on it later, or in addition to my talking. So I would like to take questions about what this means. Comments.
You talked about additional staff time to help organize FLAP. How many hours are you anticipating or estimating that will increase over the 10 hours a week that Arlene currently has?
Right, that is a great question. And if I can bring up my program budget, I will tell you. Where did it go? I believe what I penciled in is 20 hours of development and then 4 hours per event, or something like that. If we end up having volunteers do all the stuff, then some of that may not be necessary. But that is sort of the upper bound of how much extra staff time would need to be spent on this event is 20 hours to do all the stuff ahead of time, and then I think it's 4 hours per event. And honestly, the reason this is in the budget is mainly for grant writing purposes. We do need to fully account for costs. How much actually gets charged at the end of the day, it just depends on who does the work and when and that sort of thing. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay.
So I did have a question about the money. You said you didn't know what it was for, so you reduced it. Is that something that if you figured out what it was for and you realized that you needed to reallocate that money, would you be able to do that, or would we need to wait until a board meeting for that?
I believe officially we need to wait.
Yeah.
That said, we are net plus 3K right now in the budget, so like we would probably go reclassify it later if it was not way too much.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
another thing we discussed in, I think, governance or finance was pretty much there's a threshold above which Arlene needs to ask other people to make sure it's okay. So we are not going to expense $1,000 of potatoes and then ask for it later. Most of the stuff is pre-approved. But yeah, like I would definitely want to bring that back if it was more than a few $100s. And I assume some of that was also just to cover permit costs, but that is in a different account now. So, you know, budget stuff.
So at this point, are we looking for a motion to approve?
We are. I was giving people some time to digest if they haven't seen all this before.
Let's wait a little then.
Yeah. Time check. Yes, Desert says there is a 10K increase in the budget, and yes, there is. Before we were running at plus 9K net income, and we added 5K to revenue and the remainder to expenses. So we're still plus 3K. It gives us some wiggle room in case we don't get as much door revenue or other extra costs. But in general, like it's pretty much where we wanted to be with this year. Our current assets are 13K, so plus 3 of that is 16K at the end of the year. So we're in great position, even if some of these are a little off. We'll see how it goes. Any other questions?
Seeing as it is 11:30, I'm going to move that we approve the proposed revised budget.
We have a second.
Second.
We have a second. Any further discussion on the motion to approve the revised budget? Going once, going twice. All right, all in favor of the motion to approve the budget, say aye.
I
I
I saw silent aye from Z. All right, all against, say nay. All right, seeing none, the motion carries and this budget has been approved. Yay. And what is left? What is left to do? We just need to go through the stuff at the end. So this is the time when other people can make comments, announcements, and so on. So if that's you, please raise your hand or queue up. I would love to hear if you're teaching or doing anything else relevant to us. I have a comment. I am planning to teach some sort of POI class series sometime this summer. And I don't know any more than that, but I want y'all to know because I'm really excited about it. Anything else? Eileen.
I have a request / suggestion that we allocate more time for board meetings. I think that this should be set aside for 2 hours because this is the second time in a row we've had to like scramble at the end to do everything. And I think we should be giving ourselves more time.
Seconded.
All right. Any other comments? All right. I think we're ready to adjourn. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
so moved.
Do we need a second for this one?
second.
All right. Discussion on the motion to adjourn. I don't hear any discussion. All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye. All against, say nay. All right, the motion carries and this meeting is adjourned. Congratulations, everyone. We did it.
Yay.
The third meeting is done.
Thanks, everybody.
Talk to you all later. Bye, friends.
Don't forget to go to Spin Jam.
Aw.
Thanks for being here.
Yes,
Right back
stay in
at
touch.
you, Zoe.
Much to do.
Bye.
You're the best. Okay, later.